So this man died because he rubbed grease all over his body, and he ends up changing the rules of marathon, probably forever. No poison, no weapon, no accident like a fool, just grease and a marathon. And this story sounds fake when you first hear it, but it's 100% real. It's about a man who ran in the Olympics and never made it to the finish line. This all starts in 1912 at the Summer Olympic Games in Stockholm, Sweden. Today, the Olympics are massive. Sponsors everywhere, medical teams on standby, strict safety rules with barriers, safety signage, and officials monitoring runners. But back then, it was raw, unrefined, and honestly, dangerous. And one of the events was the marathon. The man at the center of this story is Francisco. Francisco's exact age at the time isn't clearly documented. Based on the records we do have, he was likely in his early 20s, somewhere between 21 and 24 years old. So young. And already competing on the world's biggest stage, Francisco was a Portuguese marathon runner. He was a national-level athlete in Portugal, known for his endurance. This wasn't some random guy who woke up one day and decided to run 26 miles. This was someone who trained for this. Francisco travels all the way from Portugal to Sweden to compete in the Olympics. At the time, this was a huge honor and a huge opportunity. Not everyone got this chance. The marathon was scheduled for the 14th of July, 1912. And that day, it was hot. Not just a little warm. Not uncomfortable. This was the kind of heat that quietly kills people. The race begins. The marathon starts, and at first everything looks normal. Runners take off through Stockholm, then out into the countryside. Crowds line the streets. People cheer. This is a big deal. Francisco starts the race strong. And here's an important detail. Francisco was used to running in warm weather. So early on, nothing seems wrong. And the marathon just seemed like any normal one. Until... Now here's something unusual about him. Before the race, Francisco covered his body in grease or animal fat, often described as suet. This isn't speculation. This part is real. Multiple historical sources confirm it. Why did he do this? Because at the time, some athletes believed grease could prevent sunburn. Grease could reduce sweating. And less sweating meant conserving energy. Which sounds logical until you understand how the human body actually works. Sweating isn't a flaw. Sweating is how your body cools itself. By covering his skin in grease, Francisco blocked his own cooling system. And, in extreme heat, that's a death sentence. This is where things start to go wrong. As the race continues, spectators notice something's off. Francisco begins to stagger. At one point, he falls, but he gets back up and keeps running. That was the mindset back then. You don't quit. You push through. But his body is overheating fast. His core temperature keeps climbing. And he doesn't even realize how bad it is. Around the 30-kilometer mark, roughly 19 miles into the marathon, Francisco collapses. This time, he can't get back up. Medical staff rush to him and transport him to a hospital in Stockholm. At the hospital, doctors take his temperature. It's reported to be around 41 degrees Celsius. 41 degrees Celsius. That is about 105.8 degrees Fahrenheit. To put that in comparison, his body was hotter than a hot tub. While a hot tub is usually kept around 38 degrees Celsius to 40 degrees Celsius, which is equivalent to 100 degrees Fahrenheit to 104 degrees Fahrenheit. 41 degrees Celsius is, just above that, feeling very hot and intense too. The touch. That's just catastrophic. Francisco never regains consciousness. Doctors try to treat him through the night, but the damage is already done. On the 15th of July, 1912, the morning after the race, Francisco Lázaro dies. The official cause of death is fatal hyperthermia, caused by extreme overheating. He was still just a young man in his early 20s. The news shocks everyone. This wasn't just an injury. This was a death during the Olympics. Francisco becomes the first athlete to die during a modern Olympic event. That's how serious this was. A memorial service is held at the Olympic Stadium. Reports say tens of thousands of people attend. Money is raised for his family back in Portugal. Later, a memorial is placed along the marathon route in his honor. Now, you might hear other versions of this story online. Some people claim he refused to drink water. He was punished by officials. He died instantly during the race. Those versions are not accurate. What we do know, and what is consistently supported, is this. Francisco Lázaro died because he ran a marathon in extreme heat. His body could not cool itself, and the grease on his skin prevented sweating. It wasn't arrogance. It wasn't suicide. It was a tragic misunderstanding of human physiology. After cases like Francisco's and others in early Olympic history, things changed. Water stations became mandatory. Heat risks were taken seriously. Medical teams became standard. His death literally helped make endurance sports safer. And yet, most people have never heard his name. Francisco Lázaro didn't die because he was reckless. He died because he believed the wrong advice, in a time when sports science barely existed, and he paid for it with his life.